All right. Hello and welcome, everybody. I will just give our attendees a moment to hop on and transition out of the waiting room. Day 4 of the 2024 Within Health Summit. I am so excited for our final date. It has definitely been a week-long just event of talks and panels and fireside chats and CE presentations and just a wealth of knowledge. And I hope you all have enjoyed it. Again, welcome. My name is Jamie Singletary, and I am the Director of Clinical Brand Development for Within Health. And it is my pleasure to welcome you to Empowering Recovery, the role of alumni in supporting eating disorder healing. As the Director of Clinical Brand Development, one of the things that I get to do, I get to work really closely with our alumni program and with my amazing alumni care team. And we get together weekly to talk about how we can empower our alumni and not just have a very cookie cutter program. We wanted to get together and provide an environment and a space where our alumni can come and continue to get the same quality of care that they received while they were in programming with us. So with that being said, I would love to introduce my amazing alumni care team, and you will have an opportunity to hear from them. This is the alumni care team, and I will turn it over to them.
Hi, everyone. My name's Elspeth Crow, and I'm in a clinical support role at Within Health, focusing on case management and continuity of care.
Hi, I'm Carrie Malillo. I'm one of the therapists here, and I am living in Massachusetts working on the LGBTQ plus alumni team.
Hi, everyone. My name is Carrie Andriano, and I'm a therapist at Within Health. I'm in New Jersey, and I work on the Recovery at Every Size component of Alumni.
My name is Abigail Dingus. I'm a care partner here at Within Health, and I support clients day to day with meals exposures and supporting therapists and dietitians.
Hi, everyone. I'm Marissa Tables in Seattle, Washington, and I am a care partner here. And I also belong to the amazing adult alumni as well as the alumni kitchen.
And then Tiana's not here, the next lovely picture you see, but I'm Lacey Larndine. I'm a care operations specialist at Within. I co-facilitate our incredible LGBTQIA plus alumni group here.
Sorry, guys, I was trying to unmute myself. And of course, again, my name is Jamie Singletary. And as Lacey mentioned, Tiana Gilbert, who is a member of our team, is not present. Zoo is also not present today. And Kate Scafati, who you all had the opportunity to hear from earlier this week, is not present at this presentation. But Kate does our providers alumni, and Tiana works with our adolescent alumni, and Zoo assists Marissa with adult alumni and our amazing alumni kitchen. Alumni groups, they matter. And one of the things that we like to do is be very intentional about our alumni program. And when I first started at Within back in 2022, we had an alumni group and maybe a parent support group. And we thought we need to be doing more. We really wanted to grow those services, and because alumni really, really matter. And part of that is because it plays a critical role in supporting long-term recovery. It extends the continuity of care beyond formal treatment. As you all know, when clients are transitioning out of treatment and going back into their regular lives, that is a very tricky area for a lot of our clients and a lot of our families. And we have a very small window to keep them engaged and to keep them connected. And so this is where the alumni group a lot of times stands in those gaps. We provide a network of peer support and resources essential for maintaining recovery. I think it's important to mention that a lot of our clients have to discharge for a plethora of reasons. And while they are in between those next phases, the alumni group provides those resources and that peer support where they can come and they can be with like-minded individuals who have similar lived experiences, and also in the familiarity of doing it with other Within Health clients. Fostering a sense of belonging and accountability. I always like to say that not only is Alumni Group a really safe space, but we do a lot of good work. We do hard work there. This is where healing begins. And so having a place to go and be held accountable for the things that you need to be doing on your own really increases the probability of our client success. And also it helps prevent relapse and encourage sustained behavioral change. We know that the only way to get different results is to do something different. And with our program, we love to hear that our clients are continuing to do the hard things, making the best choices for their recovery, and doing it all within advocating for themselves and making sure that they're maintaining that support with other people. And I'll turn it over to Abigail.
Thanks, Jamie. There's so many cool things we'll get to share with you about our alumni program in a moment. I think it's also important to touch on this isn't just our opinion, right? These alumni groups, this continuity of care is supported by research over a sustained period of time of just how impactful it can be. They're an invaluable part of recovery. We have two studies highlighted here, but like a big takeaway is going to be that individuals who engaged more in their treatments, continuity of care, which is those alumni groups that we'll get to talk about in a moment, reported significantly greater benefits. And that's going to include quality of life and social functioning, something that we fight so hard for in the recovery process to routine back to baseline, right? Improve that quality of life. Reducing the number and severity of symptoms, increasing social network, coping strategies, and perceptions of well-being. Treatment doesn't have to stop when we transition to a different level of care. And our alumni program is a huge part of making sure that our clients are supported throughout that journey. And I'll pass it to Elsbeth.
Thanks, Abby. So now that we've talked to you about kind of why alumni spaces are important in general, we want to kind of get into, the team and I want to talk a little bit more about what we do and why this is so important to us. But we can't really talk about what we do here at Within without the voices and contributions of our alumni. So in this next portion of the presentation, you will get to see a variety of different memes that were all created by one of our very own alumni, Jennifer Williams. Jen has been running a meme page on social media for a while to really use her sense of humor and creativity to build community spaces and to share her story of recovery and treatment. So we're very grateful for her contributions and happy to share her work with you today. So I will turn it over now to Marissa.
Hi, everyone. So, as I mentioned at the beginning, I help facilitate with the amazing Zuhal that couldn't be here today, the Adult Alumni Group. Adult Alumni meets on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And in this space, it's just about creating community. One of the things that we hear a lot is that it's really hard sometimes for, our clients to kind of feel as supported and connected when they leave us here at Within. And the space here for Adult Alumni Group just provides a lot of continuity of just creating community, accountability, where people just really understand and they get each other, they can support each other. So that is usually our space. It's about an hour, and sometimes we do a little over because there's a lot of things and amazing things to share amongst each other, and just to get a little bit of, camaraderie. So that's our space on Tuesdays and Thursdays. The next is Alumni Kitchen. Zuhal and I also run that. Zuhal runs the Monday and I run the Wednesday kitchen. It's a 30-minute kitchen space, kind of like, one of our supported meal sessions from that the care partners run here. And it's a space where clients come to just, again, community connection and just hold themselves and each other accountable for sticking to, their meal plan past this stage of programming. It can be really hard sometimes when you transition out and you have to really fall back into your routine, but you can't forget all of the amazing lessons and the hard work that you did while here sitting at that table. So that is what Alumni Kitchen provides. We even get asked by the clients sometimes like, hey, can we do a challenge? Because they're still working as they leave us. So we will gladly do any challenge with them. Sometimes we invite the whole kitchen to come and do it. And whether it's just myself, the care partner that does it with the client, or just, everyone else, that person, that individual always feels very supported. It's a no judgment space. It is just there for just a lot of support and care. And it is really a beautiful and lovely space. And I am just honored and grateful to be able to help facilitate both of those things.
Thank you, Marissa. I will be talking about the adolescents and providers. I think it's important to mention that we have created spaces because we understand that one size does not fit all. And each of our clients needs a space where they can come and they can feel seen and they can feel heard. And so by divvying up these demographics, we've been able to do that, especially with our adolescents, right? We know that having adolescents and adults in groups sometimes can be very successful, but it is a necessity for them to be separated at times just so that they can talk about the things that are important to them, the things that are impacting their daily recovery, so that they can also feel seen, right? We often hear from our adolescent clients that, will there be anybody in there that looks like me? Will there be anybody in there that I can relate to? So by creating a space for our adolescents, they're able to do that. And the exact same for our providers. We understand that eating disorders and mental health conditions do not discriminate. And it doesn't matter what your walk of life is or what your socioeconomic background is. You can be susceptible to some of these things. And so by having a space for our providers, it really does create a space where they can get that support and they can be free of judgment and the pressures of, you should be able to do this, or why you, or I would have never expected. It really helps them to be able to work through their issues, their concerns, without the fear of being judged or running into someone that they may know, or what any other, resistances that they may have.
Everyone. So I run Recovery at Every Size in program and also the alumni group. So this space was created from feedback from some of our clients who live in larger bodies and how they wanted a space where they could feel safe exploring body image and other things that came up for them. We started the group in program a little over a year ago, and then from feedback from clients as they were discharging, they really missed that safe space that they had in program. And so we created an alumni group for them. In this group, they're able to process their own body image distress, lived experience of being in a larger body, in recovery, in medical systems, within the family system, any struggles that come up for them, and any other topics that they're willing to bring to the space. It continues to be a safe place for clients to explore and process showing up in their bodies. And we've also worked to neutralize the word fat in our program and in this group space from feedback from the group. For a lot of these clients, it's the first time that they have a safe place to explore health at every size and fat liberation and learn ways to challenge weight stigma, fat phobia, anti-fat bias, and anything else along those lines. So I'm honored to be the facilitator of that group and provide that space for our clients.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Carrie, and I really do have the pleasure and the honor of being able to co-facilitate LGBTQIA+ process group, not only in program, but also in the alumni space with Lacey. So Lacey, you just say hi. Come say hi quickly.
Hey, I'm Lacey. Hey.
We, similar to the Raise group, created this space in program, and it really is just one of the most beautiful, amazing spaces that exists. Like, it's so community focused. everyone really does love one another in that space. And it was so highly requested for us to have an alumni space because that community wanted to be continued, and people wanted to have a space where they can talk about and discuss, the intersectionality around having an eating disorder and also being queer. So it is for self-identifying members of the LGBTQ+IA community. And we are there weekly on Wednesday nights. We really do, we all care about each other. We show up, we be our authentic selves, and it continues to be a space that folk are excited to join, and folk are excited to continue on in that community space in the alumni area of it all. So I'm just very grateful to be a part of it and to run it and to have been given the space to create it with Lacey.
Yeah, like Carrie said, it's such a special space, and we really treasure it in a very serious way. Like, not to sound super cliche, but it's our favorite thing, and it's so important to us to keep that safe, really safe. Because like Carrie said, the intersection between our clients dealing with eating disorders and also all of the other issues in the queer space as far as gender identity, gender expression, um, body dysmorphia, gender dysmorphia, society's expectations of what queer bodies look like. Um, it's also interrelated. So it's a really specific, important space for people to talk about that. So it's fantastic. And yeah, before we move on to some really fantastic testimonials that we have, I wanted to invite everyone to imagine something with me, just to understand where these alumni are coming from. So imagine you've spent almost a year of your life in a program where, let's say an average of like 5 times a week, you spend hours in a community. This community has peers and providers who see you at your most triumphant and see you at your most struggling. You've made connections with people who support you, cheer you on, validate your experiences that most others in your life may never see. This community sees you at your most vulnerable. You develop deep trust in providers and kinship with the community that you eat with for at least several days a week throughout this whole process. And then treatment's over. If you didn't get like the phone numbers of friends you made or connect on social media or something, you may feel like the relationships that you've developed are suddenly gone. But your team reassures you that you do have access to the alumni program, where you can maintain those connections as you continue your recovery and stay connected with the community that's been such a huge part of your life. Testimonials.
Thank you, Lacey. I think that's so beautifully put. And so, we want to kind of paint a picture of our clients' experiences. So we have some of their reflections and sentiments here, along with some more memes to just highlight some important themes and the things that our community, this team, really values about this space. And I personally really liked this quote because I do see our alumni space as a bridge, having a solid object and structure to support from one transition to another part of life. And so I really do see that as the kind of role that we serve.
I was about to just want to chime in really quickly to this one as well. I think all of the folk who run alumni spaces are big presences in the within community. So it's not only that they have the space, but they also have the touch points with people who they really connected with through their time at within, not only clients, but also staff as well. So all of us put that role of being big in the community at within while they're in program. And then that's why we're here doing this now.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. Um, and so this quote, what stood out to me is the idea of offering and receiving ongoing support. And to me, I think this really illustrates the power of groups in general, and the importance of peer support spaces. And, just the idea that, being able to continue this healing work in a communal way is really, really powerful. It's always a two-way street. Another thing that I love about alumni, and I think can be a very fun part of this, is that you never know who you're going to get at alumni. You never know who will be there. And so it's really been special for me to, see people show up and see peers and friends that they hadn't seen in a long time. And also make new connections with people they may have never even been in treatment with. And last, I love this quote because it emphasizes that it is an open space, and that folks can come as they are. We have folks who are doing really well with their eating disorder recovery, and they're like, but can I share about this other tough stuff I have going on, even though behaviors are under control? Absolutely. And people can come when they're struggling. And it's a space for folks to show up wherever they are. And that, of course, with that being said, we do, constantly meet and evaluate the appropriateness for level of care. And so, if we can always reevaluate whether or not someone may be appropriate for alumni services. So, I have the pleasure of now introducing and handing the mic over to one of our incredible alumni, Sam.
Hello, everyone. Deep breath. My name is Sam Dillon Finch. I'm a writer, a lived experience advocate, a content marketing consultant, but I'm here today as a very, very proud Within Health alum. It was kind of surreal to try to write out bullet points of all the different things I wanted to say about my experience, both at Within and as an alum. But I had to stop myself for a minute because I had to ask, is my eating disorder now in past tense? I found myself, like, as I was writing my notes, saying like, oh, I don't know that this is present in my day-to-day life in the ways that it used to be. In fact, I don't think too hard about what I eat or how I move my body, except to assess what might feel good. But if you'd told me a few years ago, I would have said that's possible for maybe somebody else, but certainly not for me. And so I want to tell you a little bit about what brought me to Within so you can kind of appreciate the journey that I think a lot of clients will relate to. My eating disorder was once described to me by a dietitian as being agnostic. But to get more specific, I was first the picky eater whose parents would try to bribe him into eating foods that he'd never had before. Very much a chicken nuggets, mac and cheese, leave the rest kind of kid. And then when diet culture kind of approached, I became fully convinced that quote unquote healthy eating was the answer to literally everything. So if I could just eat the dietary equivalent of like a small portion of what a vegan training for the Olympics might eat, like all of my problems would be solved. But since the kids menu and the so-called vegan Olympian menu are very different menus, I became so overwhelmed trying to make decisions around food that I often just defaulted to eating as infrequently as possible. And I spent, I would say, most of my adult life just bouncing in and out of hospitals and IOPs and PHPs, not just for my eating disorder, which actually went undiagnosed for many years, but for complex trauma. So by the time I was knocking on Within's door, I had already told my outpatient team in no uncertain terms, this is the last time. Not just the last time I'm willing to pursue treatment, but the last time I'm willing to commit to recovery. Because after years and years of treatment experiences that were pretty much by and large re-traumatizing to me, this was the last time I was willing to try. Especially as a fat and transgender trauma survivor, I just felt like maybe I just don't belong in these spaces. The other thing you should know about me is that I'm not like a typical client. And what I mean by that is that I'm kind of a nightmare for treatment centers. Having worked adjacently in mental health for about a decade now, mostly in psychoeducation. So, being a journalist who tries to help people unlearn internet pop psychology and give them some of the more reputable and trustworthy information, I have a lot of insight into what treatment would ideally be like. So, when my therapist asks me a leading question, I know why she's asking. I know what behaviors staffs are looking for. And I know how to kind of play the part of good client to get the outcome that I think they're looking for. I often wear many masks, or at least I used to in treatment settings. And also, I tend to show up to support groups and basically run them and not get the care that I need to receive. And so I can be kind of difficult as a client. I liken this to your friend who's been to like every haunted house ever. They kind of know what's coming at this point, and unless it's a really, really good haunted house, it's not going to be that great of an experience. You're kind of hard to scare. That doesn't mean I had high expectations of within, though, because like I said, by the time that I got there, I was jaded. This was my Hail Mary. This was my last attempt. The first like clear memory I have about within, other than just being overwhelmed when I got there, was that I texted a friend, "This place is really weird." And my friend panicked and was like, "Oh no, do I need to talk him off the ledge, convince him to stay?" And I explained, no, it's just the clients are obsessed with getting a hoodie. And my friend was like, "I have no idea. What are you talking about?" And I explained the clients who have been here for a while, like, won't stop talking about how they want a within hoodie, like a within branded hoodie. And I need folks to understand how absolutely weird that was to me. I was like, who goes to a hospital or a higher level of care or a treatment center and says, "I want branded merch"? It was so hard to wrap my head around the idea that anyone would want to wear this badge of having gone to eating disorder treatment. And not even just from a stigma standpoint, which in and of itself is incredible for a lot of clients, but just from the perspective of someone who had been really traumatized by treatment centers, who often had the experience of not being trusted, not being believed, not being approached as someone who was earnestly trying in good faith to recover. It was downright alien to me that folks would desperately want to wear a marker of that experience at within. But honestly, that was kind of the tip of the iceberg of the experience for me when I started to realize it's not that clients just want a new hoodie. It's that they were wanting something that signals their sense of belonging here. They want something that captures how within made them feel and how within made me feel, which was warm and held and protected. Something that symbolized I was here and I was changed. And as cheesy as that might sound, by the way, cheese, y'all, don't sleep on it. One of the many gifts of recovery. Um, that really was my experience. I felt cared about. I felt like I had an entire community around me holding me through this very difficult experience, some of the hardest work I think anyone will ever do. And when I first left within, graduated, it felt kind of like leaving summer camp. And there was this big grief process for me. And that first time around, I didn't really stay connected to alumni services, both because I'm stubborn, but also I think because I had this grief of like, no, I just want to put this behind me and move on with my life. And I can do it on my own now. That's why I went to treatment, so that I can do it by myself. And like many people do in this process, I relapsed. And at first, I was ashamed and I tried to pretend it wasn't happening, convinced myself, well, I shouldn't need help. I was in treatment for this many months. And then I remember thinking to myself, like, do I have to go back to treatment again? But I remember having this surreal moment where I was like, no, you know what? It's not that I have to go back to treatment. It's that I get to go to treatment. I get to give myself that experience, and I get to have the immense privilege of returning to a place where I am cared for, where I belong, where I have community. I get to do this, and I get to do that as many times as it takes. And I would have never thought about treatment in that way had it not been for this safe and supportive space that I had at within. And so I picked up the phone again and I went back. And at first, for like a minute, I kind of came in with my head hanging a bit low of like, I messed it up. But the second I logged on and I saw the familiar faces who were just beaming back at me, genuinely happy to see me, I started calling the second round of treatment my victory lap. And I said, you know what, this time I'm leaning all the way in, like armor all the way off, very determined to just take advantage of every moment of this experience and this privilege, to just take this trust fall, to do everything that scared me that I wasn't willing to do the first time because I didn't fully lean in. And I was able to do that because I knew that the community around me, and not just staff, when I say community, I mean peer support, care partners, dietitians, therapists, my nurse. I had the privilege of two incredible nurses the times that I was at within. I knew they would be there to catch me. I started cooking for the first time. I was cracking eggs with my bare hands, which, if you know, you know. I started making foods that my family made. I come from a pretty big Maltese immigrant family. And as an ARFID kid, I was always afraid to try the foods that were cultural to me because my Midwestern friends had never heard of them. And it was hard to contextualize those foods. It felt like something that alienated me from my peers. And I worked with an amazing food specialist who helped me reconnect with my culture. And in the process of that, all of those like Instagram recovery memes that are like, food is connection, food is culture, food is delight, food is adventure, those things started to feel a lot less trite and very real to me. And I also started to kind of unravel the ways in which this big immigrant family that I had come from, a family of mostly fat people who were trying to assimilate to this country, they may have been trying just as desperately as me to survive these systems and ideologies. I started to realize like that didn't belong to us. That's not ours. And through this really amazing, safe community, I was able to do the much deeper work. And I come back to this quote that I heard a lot in a lot of addiction spaces of the opposite of addiction is connection. And that is truly the spirit of within and the alumni services, is that the opposite of the eating disorder in a very real way is connection. It's connecting with people who see you and not just the masked version of you or the best version of you, the good client or employee or sister, brother, sibling, or whatever mask you've put on in the process of bonding with the eating disorder, but the authentic you. And I think what has been really just such a miracle to me about the whole experience is that once I graduated, which, by the way, I graduated early, I still had time. Like the first time I left within, I had run out of time with my insurance. And this time I had so many of the ingredients I needed to succeed that we were comfortable having me discharge, even though I had weeks of runway left, which I never knew was possible. I thought everybody left treatment early. That was just the horrible, dark secret that we all had. And that is a very real reality. But I think something about the support that I got that second time around, especially, really held me in a way that allowed me to exceed all the expectations that we had. And so I now use alumni services because I learned the first time. I learned the first time not only just you should go to alumni, I learned that I don't need to do this alone. Why should I do this alone? Why did I think that I had to? The other thing that I think about a lot with alumni services too is that you don't need to just reach out to people when you're struggling. You can just have community. You can just be witnessed in all seasons of life. You have a community to celebrate with you when things happen that the other people in your life maybe can't appreciate happening. I remember I went to an alumni group because I had this surreal experience where I'd had a really bad day at work. And when I was done working, I was in a I'm going to treat myself kind of mentality. And so I was digging around in my kitchen and found this like serving tray that I had impulsively bought ages ago. And I got all of these cute little dishes and I started filling them with like sour straws and candies and chips and all of these things that I really loved eating and arranged them really nicely. It was almost like a charcuterie board of like my favorite snacks. And I plopped down in front of the TV and I started watching something. And my partner looked over at my little snack charcuterie and said, "Oh, that looks fun." And without even thinking, I said, "Yeah, that's the point." And I just kept watching my show. But my partner had to scoop their jaw off the ground. And they looked at me. I swear it was like a record scratch moment. They were like, "Did you just say the point of that food that you have was just for fun?" And I like paused my show and I realized, like, yeah, I was using food in that moment for delight and enjoyment and pleasure. And I didn't spend a single second thinking about what those foods were, what they meant. Should I eat them? Should I eat that amount? I just loaded up a cute little tray and enjoyed it. And then I went to alumni group and had to tell everybody because I wanted to be in a community of people who had seen me at my absolute lowest, who could appreciate the quantum leap that it took and the amount of courage and support it took. And the thing that I want to leave people with in terms of like what recovery means to me now versus what it meant to me before. Recovery before to me was like not breaking your streak for behaviors and doing the best, making sure that you never use behaviors again and never struggle. And it was really and truly this perfectionistic idea of I'm going to be the best recovered person there ever was, which I think a lot of us can hear and under eating disorder underneath that. What recovery to me now is, it's kind of like a quilt. Because when I think about the snack tray, which I still have a photo on my phone, that's how important it was to me. When I think about the snack tray, I think about the supported snacks that allowed me to put those foods on the tray. I think about my care partner, Suzanne, who walked me through over and over again. Are you sure that people aren't lying when they say that food is connection and fun and delight and adventure? Are we all just making that up? Is that aspirational? I see my therapist, Loretta, who helped me unpack so much of my family history to understand that I deserve to eat those foods. I see Alex, who stayed in the kitchen with me when I refused to touch certain foods with my hands. So much of how I understand recovery now is that there are pieces of every person who supported me through this woven into every milestone. And I don't mean milestone as in I went 60 days without behaviors. I mean milestone as in I ate these snacks and didn't think very hard about it. Milestone as in today, like right now, I'm wearing a sweater that I've had for years. And it used to be my oversized, roomy, I'm going to hide my body in this sweater. And I recovered into a fat body. And I put this sweater on today because I've always loved the look of it. And I had a brief moment where I thought, wow, this fits so different. And then I had the moment of, what a privilege that I'm still alive to wear this. What a privilege. And how grateful I am for the community that allowed me to grow into this and still be here to wear this. Instead of having the moment of, oh God, what have I done? I have the moment of, oh God, I'm so grateful. And now I get to go to alumni groups next week and celebrate that with people who have been with me on the journey. And what a privilege that is. So I'm so grateful to be able to share this with all of you. And one last moment of advocacy on my part. we got to get these hoodies. The people need the hoodies, and that is why I'm here. So thank you all so much. I'm truly so grateful.
Thank you so much, Sam. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And in closing, I think it's very clear, that by offering regular social interactions and support and access to recovery tools, you're able to see it's like poetry in motion. And I think it is just a wonderful opportunity to be able to work with this team and to see the work that they are doing weekly and just the commitment and dedication that we have. And also to mention that a lot of these offerings are happening in the evening, and that is by design, so that we can make sure that people have some flexibility in being able to attend these resources, these free resources that we are offering. And so this is why you go to Alumni, and this is why Alumni is important. So with that being said, if there are any questions, we do have some comments in the chat. People are saying that they loved having you in group, Sam, and so happy to see your face again, and that they are beaming with joy for you. And thank you for sharing your experiences. Just a lot of love and kudos to the Alumni Care team and the work that we are doing. Before we close, are there any other comments from the team that you all would like to leave our attendees with?
I mean, I always have something to say, y'all. I think the last thing that I'll say is just this space not only being a provider who gets to facilitate, but also being able to have this space with clients is just such an amazing and wonderful thing. And I see a few people who are here who might have been past clients of Within. I want y'all to show up. I want y'all to come to these spaces, even if you're not in the best, you're not doing the best, you're not like killing it. That's why we're here. We care about everybody. Like, we care about y'all so much. We cared about you when you were in the program. We don't forget you when you leave. So please come to these spaces, take up that space in these alumni spaces, and just be here. That's why we create this. It helps us to keep going the more you show up. So please do show up.
Thank you so much, Carrie, for that wonderful closing statement. And to the rest of the Alumni Care team, thank you. I'm so proud of you all. And I'm just so grateful that we were able to share this space and utilize this platform to just highlight the amazing work that we're doing and that we're going to continue to do and continue to grow. For our attendees that joined us, thank you so much for your time. We are going to conclude the final continuing education presentation of the 2024 Within Summit with our co-founder, Dr. Wendy Oliver Pyatt, at 1:30, and that will be from 1:30 to 3, and she is going to be going over shame. So hopefully you all will join us. And again, thank you on behalf of myself and the Alumni Care team. Have a wonderful day.